Ethan Cole stood on his perfectly trimmed driveway, the early morning sun glinting off the bold orange HOA violation notice in his hand. The paper fluttered slightly in the wind, but his grip was iron. His heart pounded with disbelief as he read the charge. Unauthorized structure causing excessive noise. Across the street, Margaret Calloway, the HOA president, stood by her mailbox, arms folded and lips pursed in quiet triumph. The hum of the sleek silver generator behind Ethan was the only sound breaking the morning calm. He had built that generator with his own hands to power his home sustainably. Before the notice, Ethan's life was steady, predictable even. A former electrical engineer turned eco-builder, he had moved into Willow Creek Estates for its peace and order. Every lawn matched, every mailbox gleamed, and every neighbor waved with the same polite, hollow smile. It was the kind of place where appearances mattered more than anything. Image 3, The Power Project. Ethan spent months designing and installing a small-scale residential power plant in his backyard, a fusion of solar storage and Ethan spent months designing and installing a small-scale residential power plant in his backyard, a fusion of solar storage and a whisper-quiet generator. It wasn't just a project. It was his personal rebellion against rising energy costs and wasteful habits. The system was so efficient that it began distributing surplus power to the neighborhood grid automatically. Ethan didn't brag about it. He just wanted to live smarter. Margaret Calloway, however, didn't see innovation. She saw defiance. As HOA president, her identity was tied to control. Every paint color, every lawn edge, every holiday light had to go through her. Ethan's silver machine humming behind a fence was a challenge she couldn't ignore. To her, it was the beginning of disorder, a violation of her carefully crafted perfection. The first notice came quietly. Noise disturbance from mechanical equipment. Ethan laughed it off, confident he could resolve it by inviting the board to inspect the system. But when he reached out, his email went unanswered. The next week, another letter arrived, this time with a fine. Margaret doubled down. She began circulating flyers about unauthorized energy devices and calling emergency meetings about neighborhood safety. Some neighbors started to avoid eye contact. Others whispered when Ethan walked by. The hum of the generator, once unnoticed, became an obsession for the board. They claimed it was disturbing the community's peaceful aesthetic. Frustrated, Ethan refused to back down. He installed additional noise insulation, filed compliance paperwork, then came the blackout. A sudden power surge from the local grid plunged the neighborhood into darkness one night, except for Ethan's home, which glowed like a beacon. His system kicked in seamlessly, feeding power not just to his house, but to every home still connected through his shared network. Lights flickered back on across the cul-de-sac, powered by the very system the HOA wanted gone. Next morning, Margaret called an emergency HOA meeting at the community center. The tension was electric. Ethan arrived calm but resolute, armed with data, photos, and receipts. Ethan stood before the entire neighborhood as Margaret's authority began to unravel. Her voice cracked as she accused him of violating rules. But the residents, who had all enjoyed power thanks to Ethan's setup, began to murmur when Ethan mentioned he had secured full permits from the county and that the HOA had overstepped their jurisdiction. The room erupted. The board lawyer whispered frantically to Margaret. Ethan didn't gloat. He simply handed over a file with the legal approvals they had ignored. The audience clapped as he stepped down. Weeks later, Willow Creek Estates looked the same from the outside. Perfect lawns, trimmed hedges, polished mailboxes. But the atmosphere had changed. The HOA backed off its pettiness, new members joined the board, and a policy was created, allowing renewable energy systems under revised guidelines, all named informally as the Cole Amendment.